Could you speak a little bit to the issue of Lokavidya and science as constituting two different worlds of knowledge and the relationship between them in the world?
See these words, Lokavidya, simply translated it would be people's knowledge. But one can see it is not just that, much more than that. These words have not been used earlier. Various words were in existence, even in India, Vinobha's movement, others also. Lokaniti, Lokahit, Lokasmriti, for people's policy, people's interest, people's memory, and so on. And one can multiply. And these words were properly used in the political discourse. They are not, I'm not constructing them. They were used in the political discourse, widely used. Lokniti and Lokhit were widely used, but the idea of Lokvidya apparently didn't exist at all, at least not in the political discourse, at least not in the discourse of change. Science ruled. I mean, 20th century taught so much about defeating totalitarian regimes, but could not see into itself as shaping an unprecedented, unknown to man type of totalitarian regime, the regime of science. Absolutely total. Nothing could be knowledge without being tested on the criteria of science, on the criteria of legitimacy that the world of science prescribed for the world of knowledge. So science was in command. It held the command for very long. In fact, it's coterminous. It's a handmaid. The development with the imperialist development, the expansion of Western European powers all over the world is kind of happened hand in glove with the development of science, the two serving each other. But that is the politics of science. I restrict myself to the role of science in the world of knowledge. It simply did not allow any raising of heads in any manner. But nothing lasts forever. And the nation states in the third world coming into existence as independent states, as we, after a couple of decades, there was some kind of questioning, no direct questioning of the questioning started, the questioning of technology. There were appropriate technology movements, there were people's science movement, there were ecological movement. All these picked up mid-70s and later, I should think, 80s mainly when they actually picked up. This is all was questioning what was the undesirable part that was delivered by science. Although the account books, the debit side was kept blank for science, and it was only technology which had both the sides filled, the debit and credit sides. But science always had the debit side blank. It had only credits to it. It never did anything wrong. People did wrong, technology was bad, and so on, all discussion. But science was above all this. It could not be questioned. If at all it was questioned by pre-capitalist, ideas coming from pre-capitalist times, then they were not taken seriously by most people. Unless, other than those people who belong to those sects or whatever. Gandhi is a similar case where there is no support to science and there is no acknowledgement of science for its leadership role, for its command of the world of knowledge. And much that Gandhi says and does provides ground for later generations like us. It did provide ground to ask critical questions about science. Lokvidya, the idea of knowledge with the people knowledge that has not been acquired, in the university, poses a strange kind of challenge to the supremacy of science. Although since these people come from a very discarded, bahishkrit, low state, and therefore their assertions, unless tied with a certain new politics, do not seem to make a difference in the public domain or debates in the public domain, but exist as they are, a keener eye can always decipher that it's looking up now, that Lokvidya is looking up along with the Bahishkrit Samaj to make its presence felt. Science doesn't take too kindly to this. It recognizes the challenge. That's how I should think. It recognizes the challenge. And the entire world of modern education starts a name game. It starts calling Lokvidya traditional knowledge, indigenous knowledge, community practice, empirical knowledge, accumulated knowledge, all kinds of name. That is, it constitutes some kind of a small, not sufficiently logic-oriented subset of the man's world of knowledge. So that is denigrating it in no uncertain terms. Formulation of Lokvidya as knowledge proper, not accepting any of these epithets, naming done from outside, and claiming for a place for it in the world of knowledge, equal to. Now, this is a kind of, this is a high game. And to say that Bahishkrit Samaj is conscious of its Bahishkrit state is not to say that every member of Bahishkrit Samaj has this goal in his life. We know this. We are familiar with workers' movements for the last 200 years. And anything that is said about workers' consciousness is not surely about consciousness of each and every worker. One is talking about class consciousness, one is talking about certain processes that have been legitimized by a new mind, by a new kind of thinking, and so on. It's not the individuals who constitute that class. You know, the classes are not constituted by individuals in that sense. They're different kinds of entities altogether. With Lokvidya, with Bahishkrit Samaj more and more coming into its own, the case of Lokvidya becomes stronger and stronger. In various different ways it expresses itself. We had in India Congresses of Traditional Sciences and Technologies of India, so-called. One in 93, one in 95 and one in 98. Massive participation, about 1,500 people each time, located at one place for 5 days continuously. First one in IIT Bombay, second one in Madras, Anna University, and third one here in Benares at the Gandhian Institute of Studies. This kind of response, it was an indicator that Lokvidya was getting recognition in the minds of people, those who wanted change. There may have been a confused recognition to start with, it doesn't matter, but it was getting recognition. Then comes this computer internet revolution, the virtual world, the new technologies, the information revolution as it is called. And it creates an absolutely new opportunity. Although people are dispossessed further, greatly dispossessed further in the global economy, it does create a new opportunity for Lokvidya to assert, to create a new politics of that dispossession. And we talk about it.